Hey, what's going on, movie lovers? This is Apocalypse Movie News, and this is our non-spoilers review for Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. We just saw the film last night, and we are super excited to talk about it. I am your host, Jacob Bartley, and I am joined with Gio Ramos. What's going on, man?
Hey, man. Well, that was a really, really insane, crazy ending. I can't stop talking about it. No spoilers. Okay, all right.
Alright, so just like any review, and this is just audio, by the way, we're putting it up. We usually do video reviews, but due to circumstances, we had to do audio one today. But we are going to do it like a regular review. Positives, negatives, overall thoughts, a score out of 10. And of course, this is a special review because it's Star Wars. But Gio, let them know your overall thoughts on the movie.
Well, I'll start this off with the question that you can answer once you give your thoughts. Does the anthology, an idea of an anthology film, work, and particularly with Rogue One? Yes, it does work. This movie is so it's so fitting into where it's what story it's trying to tell. You know, the Empire has taken over. The rebellion is on their heels right now because they're looking for any kind of a hope, as they say in the movie. And these characters, they're not, all what would you say, flashy, and they're
not at all.
They're very real people, and I would say this movie does such a great job at kind of giving us an idea of how desperate the rebellion is, how much hope they're looking for. The characters are great. Jyn Erso, Felicity Jones, she does a terrific job. We were all looking forward to her after the performances that she gave in movies like The Theory of Everything. The standouts, Donnie Yen, who at times you question, is he Force sensitive or not? I have to imagine this guy has something because he does some really incredible things in this movie. And who's the droid?
K2SO.
K2SO, that guy
voiced by Alan Tudyk, who did a freaking great job.
Really great job. He was funny. He got serious at times. He's one of the more likable droids in this whole saga. And so this film, it didn't hold any punches. It didn't pull back. It showed us the sacrifice to bravery that the Rogue One squad, they displayed. And there's a lot of great action in this movie. So overall, I really liked it.
Yeah, what can you say, being a hardcore Star Wars fan, which I consider myself? I loved it. It definitely caters to the fans, and so for me, I was enjoying every moment of it, just taking everything in, and I still missed things because everything's moving so fast, not only on screen but in my head. I'm just thinking about everything as it's happening. But just overall, it's unlike any other Star Wars movie in the sense, like you said, the characters, none of them are like your generic hero or your goody two shoes hero. They're all just grew up in this war. All of them are products of this war.
Yes,
and it shows. And they come together in an organic way, in my opinion, and they take on this mission, and it's just an entertaining thrill ride the whole way through. There also are some flaws in it, some holes in some missing character development maybe, but other than that, I believe it is a very solid film overall, and as a Star Wars movie, as a Star Wars fan, it is amazing. So let's get into some specifics about what you really... I know you talked a lot about what you enjoyed, but what are the 2 or 3 huge takeaways you take from this that you really loved?
What I really love is once the Rogue One squadron is together and seeing them work. We see them go on a particular mission and how they help each other out. At first they're all about themselves. They all have their own I guess you could say agenda.
Yeah.
Diego Luna's character, he's a rebel, he's been with them for a long time. He has his own thing. Felicity Jones, Jyn Erso, she's going, it's no spoiler in the trailer. She's, kind of searching for her father. That's, the guy who the Empire was after in the beginning. They showed in the most recent trailer. And then you have Donnie Yen's character, and I don't know who's his friend. Who's the character?
I don't know the character's name, but he was awesome.
He's awesome, and they're kind of like, okay, we'll fight with the cause. We'll empire, so we'll join you and help you. So I like how the Rogue One squadron, they work together. I thought that was great. There's a lot of action in this. It felt very warlike. There were no lightsabers, no force, none of that kind of stuff. It was just, these ground soldiers, these X-Wing fighters, just fighting and outman. They were so outmatched, but yet they kept it together. They were fighting. There's a line in the movie, they go, make 10 men feel like 100.
Exactly. And that's what they did.
It was amazing, dude. Like, the beach sequence that we saw in the trailers, the moment the ATs come, it's all great. The action, Gareth Edwards, man, you can do action like anything we've yet to see in a Star Wars movie. So that was great. What about you?
Man, all right. So the first two takeaways are like character highlights, and for me, the two best, most entertaining, and most not fleshed out, but like the characters where I like connected to the most, not necessarily related to, but connected to, were K2SO.
Yeah,
was just awesome, and then Donnie Yen's character, I forget the character's name, but those were my two favorite parts of the movie.
Oh man,
their characters.
They're such standouts.
The action is amazing. It's the best Star Wars war movie that we've had.
Yes.
Like straight out war movie. It felt like a real war.
Mm-hmm.
And you definitely see the repercussions of that. And just the way the team comes together is a big highlight for me. And we all know Vader's in the movie. All I'm going to say is the way they utilize Vader in the movie is excellent. And probably the biggest highlight to take away from the movie for me. And that's as much as I can say. And it's just the thing that I appreciated the most is, look, I love The Force Awakens, but I feel like there was a lot of forced, like, over-the-top enthusiasm from some of the characters and comedy. They, like, tried to force a lot of comedy in The Force Awakens. They didn't do that with this movie. The comedy in this film, which most of it only comes from K2SO, some from Donnie Yen's character, and a couple other moments, really felt organic. So that's a big highlight for me. And it just felt so real as it can in a Star Wars universe. So those are some of my biggest positives. Gio,
well, let's talk about
if you
some of
had any negatives. What were we going to say?
Well, I was going to say, let's talk about some of the other characters real quick. We had Ben Mendelsohn, who was Orson Krennic.
Yes.
Coming off the Catalyst, you were looking forward to this guy. How did he match up to your expectations, and how does he compare to other villains?
Okay, so this can kind of tie into maybe my negatives a little bit. But, so yes, I listened to the audiobook for Catalyst, which is a lead up to Rogue One. It gives a backstory on Orson Krennic and Galen Erso and the Erso family in general. Mm-hmm. I feel like I knew so much more going into this movie than someone who hadn't listened to the book or read the book than most people. So for me, I knew these characters going in. I knew Krennic and I knew Galen.
Yeah.
And Lyra. So I knew them, so I connected with them. But I can imagine for somebody who hasn't listened or read to this book being totally lost and not understanding the significance of these characters. So I feel like that was a shortcoming for the movie. But just Orson Krennic in general and his portrayal,
his motivations and all that,
I thought he was handled pretty well. Not one of the best characters in the movie, but I felt like he was portrayed as who he really is, which is kind of a douchebag who's motivated by power and wants to rise up in the ranks of the Empire.
Yeah.
So I felt that was portrayed.
He's all about that recognition. Yeah. But as you were gonna say,
let's jump into some negatives, and that was, I feel like Krennic, they didn't touch enough on his character. Same with Galen Erso. It was a little disappointing to me. Not the scenes
Mads Mikkelsen, yeah.
The scenes that he was in were great, but he should have been in more in the movie, and we should have got some more information about his character.
Right.
And so those two characters were a little bit of disappointments to me. And Felicity Jones is a great actress. it's weird. I feel like the lead of the movie should be like someone that like you remember leaving the film, and she's not even the third, fourth, or fifth character I'm thinking about when I walk out of the theater. I'm thinking about K2SO. I'm thinking about Donnie Yen. I'm thinking about Donnie Yen's partner before I think about Jin Erso. So I think they could have handled the main character a little bit better and made her more memorable, made her have more charisma and like gravitate towards the audience more. I think she did fine. The character's a badass, probably the most I don't know how to explain it. Like the most capable of fighting of a non-Force user that we've maybe ever seen in a Star Wars movie.
Sure.
But other than that, I just felt like her personality and her charisma wasn't that great. But I still enjoyed the character. Those are just some of my light negatives. I didn't really have any
There's
huge
not
negatives.
a lot of negatives.
There's nothing in the movie where like, ugh, that wasn't handled bad. If the closest thing to it, which I just remembered and I should have mentioned earlier, was I didn't like the way Forrest Whitaker's character, Saw Gerrera, was handled. I feel like it could have been handled a lot better as far as giving background on the character and the way he was portrayed. But other than those small things, great movie.
I mean, not that I'm trying to defend, Felicity Jones or anything, but it was said that a lot of her scenes and the re-editing and reshootings, a lot of her development was
really
cut out.
Oh, see, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. So I mean, that's just take that into consideration.
And it's not her fault.
Not to
whatever
like,
she does in the movie is what the director asked her to do, and what the editing room put into the film.
final movie is the final movie, and that's
she
what
did.
we got.
She's fun. She's great. She's an Oscar-nominated actress. She's amazing.
Yeah. My biggest criticism of the movie is just some of the character development. I felt like let's start with Mads Mikkelsen. I mean, who's Galen Erso, the
father of Jin Erso.
He gets a little bit of an introduction in the beginning, and then we see him for a little bit later on, but he's not given as much screen time. Like what saved his character from like becoming somebody that I cared about was there was a moment between him and Jin Erso. In what's that planet? Jeddah?
Jeddah?
Yeah, in the planet Jeddah. I won't spoil anything that happens or what's going on, but there's a moment in there where they're where she's like watching what is it called? Like a pre-recording, hologram pre-recording, and she begins to understand her father, what he's doing, the sacrifice he's making, and this and that. And it's a very powerful moment, but other than that, like there wasn't really much else going on with his character. I mean, we meet him, and then like we don't get enough of him at all. And then the same thing with Forrest Whitaker's Saw Gerrera. In the trailer, he's like, what does he say? Like,
what will you become?
What will you become? This and that, and he's a character that I hang around a lot of Star Wars fans. I have a lot of friends who are Star Wars fans. They talked up his character a lot.
Well, he's in Clone Wars.
I thought in
the animated show, and he's in the book Catalyst, and he has significant roles in both of those.
And I thought they underutilized Forrest Whitaker.
Definitely.
Maybe the character had enough, but I'm like, you cast this guy, and that's what you give him. I just again like this movie had a lot of challenges. The setting, the war, the action and everything. How it just drops right into a certain time, and you just go with it. So there's not a lot of room for character development. So I would have liked to see a little bit of that, and then just like how the Rogue One squad, it's not once they're together, it's kind of how they come together. Maybe I wanted to see like a little bit more. I needed to be a little more convinced that they're coming together and they all like, okay, we're gonna fight for a cause.
I understand that.
Yeah, the best thing about Guardians of the Galaxy, real quick, a little bit off topic, was that they were very self-aware. They're like, oh, okay, look at that, we're all standing like a bunch of jackasses, this and that. All right, yeah, let's go do this together. But I mean, with Rogue One, it's just they come together and. Yeah, go with it, I guess.
Yeah, as you can see, there's not much negatives in this movie. So let's wrap up this review. Just a couple sentences on your overall thoughts. What do you leave listeners with? And give us a score out of 10. And if you've decided this already, where do you rank Rogue One among the Star Wars films?
It's tough to say what I want to say without spoiling. I will say, as the first anthology movie, it left me wanting a lot more. It left me feeling emotional because of the sacrifice that these guys have made, these characters, the bravery, achieving the Death Star plans. As a fan of Star Wars, there were a lot of happy moments I felt. There was a ton of action. It's a Star Wars movie unlike anything we've seen. It's very separate from the saga films. And if I had to give a score right now, I've only seen the movie once, but right now I'm going to have to go a 9 out of 10 for Rogue One.
Yeah, I went to sleep right after I got home because I didn't have much time to think about it. But I knew walking out of the film that I loved it. And then when I just woke up the next day, or earlier today, I just felt so happy. And I didn't have time to wonder why I felt happy. Or as soon as I woke up, then I took a second to wake up, and I'm like, what's so exciting going on right now? And I'm like, wait a minute, I just watched Rogue One last night, and that movie was so freaking awesome.
Yep.
And it has some of the coolest moments that you're ever going to see in any Star Wars movie. And it worked so well as far as the anthology film. To answer your question, yes, the anthology film works. The Star Wars story spin-offs work. And I think for Star Wars fans, and I guess that's all that really matters. I mean, I don't think they betted on attaining any new Star Wars fans based on this film. Maybe, I don't know. But just overall, if you're a Star Wars fan, great film and very, very entertaining. I'm going to agree with you and give Rogue One a 9 out of 10. And I just wrote my rewatch review of The Force Awakens, and I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. So it's tough. There's things in The Force Awakens that Rogue One could never do for me. It's just impossible. But as just stepping back, looking at them as films, Rogue One might be better than The Force Awakens. And not saying I enjoy it more. That's different.
Yeah.
But as film, I think Rogue One might be a little bit better. So I'm going to go with a 9 out of 10 for Rogue One.
All right.
Well, that's going to do it for our Rogue One non-spoilers review. We will be doing a full spoilers discussion with Jake Berlin when he gets back from out of town. Shout out to Jake, by the way. And I want to thank Gio for joining us, man. Let them know where they can find you online.
Find me on Twitter at GioRamos24. Check out apocalypsemovies.com, and may the force be with you.
And you can find me, Jacob Barley, on Twitter at JacobBarley_ on this YouTube channel. We would really appreciate it if you subscribed or hit that like button if you enjoyed this review. And like Gio said, may the force be with you.